Ordinarily, when talking about import gaming, the conversation is about importing games to North America or Europe from Japan. However, over the years, there have been certain cases where the only English-language version of a game made it to store shelves in Europe, with no subsequent North American release. Because of this, it definitely behooves the North American importer to keep a close eye on the European release calendar, just in case something comes along you don't want to miss. I'm Patrick, and welcome back to Little Akiba Games. I just wanted to take a moment here to collect a number of both historical and current import titles worth picking up from Europe. Most of these are English-language localizations of Japanese games, but the list ends with a pair of absolutely brilliant European productions, so make sure you stick around to the end for those. Obviously, the most famous example of a European import is Shenmue 2, which would probably have gotten a proper North American release on the Dreamcast if Sega hadn't been in such a hurry to evacuate the market. Thankfully, they were kind enough to include NTSC support in the PAL release, well aware that a lot of those copies were going to be flown across the Atlantic in short order. Of course, we got the Xbox version over here, but for those who wanted to bring their save file over and continue the adventure on the platform that started it all, this was a can't-miss import. In another case of asynchronous market withdrawal leading to North America getting left out of a release that Europe got in on, we have Fossile. This was actually a pretty anticipated Neo Geo Pocket Color RPG when SNK decided it was time to close up shop, but while the planned North American release got cancelled, SNK went ahead with the European print run, sparking an import feeding frenzy stateside. For those seeking out the real rarities out there, I only recently learned that a very small handful of ESRB labeled North American copies did find their way out into the wild in cartridge-only form as part of a blister pack discount set, but most North American Fossile carts were sent back to Japan to be repurposed as other games in that market. Now, how could I make a list of key European imports and not include Ridge Racer 2? In the mid-aughts, Sony Computer Entertainment America's policies on upgraded versions of released games were catastrophic, barring North America from such games as Guilty Gear XX Slash and relegating Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution to greatest hits status at the time of its release. One that didn't get talked about nearly as much is Ridge Racer 2, the sequel to the arcade racing classic that launched on the PSP. At first glance, the two games are identical, which is probably what made SCEA feel some type of way, but the amount of content was staggering, including even more cars and every single Ridge Racer course from the 90s. To this day, it hasn't received a physical release in North America, although it is a part of the PlayStation Plus Premium selection, which is at least something. This is a can't-miss import for arcade racing fans who still have their PSPs. Speaking of the PSP, it received a really good Breath of Fire 3 port that fit right in with all of the other top-tier JRPGs that landed on the system, like Hex's Force and The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. Considering how many other great PlayStation ports ended up on the PSP, it's a real mystery why Breath of Fire 3 didn't make it stateside. Even now, it's a highly sought-after PlayStation gem, and having even more copies to go around, albeit on a handheld, would have been nice. As it so happens, there were plenty of copies to go around in Europe, which makes for an easy import for people who just want to play it without having to pay domestic aftermarket prices on console. You'd be forgiven for mistaking Tokyo Road Race's generic bargain bin shovelware fodder for the ultra-casual, but underneath the vanilla name and low-effort packaging is a Japanese arcade legend. Taito's Battle Gear stands right alongside Initial D and Wangan Midnight Maximum Tune as the second generation of top-tier arcade racers, succeeding the original Big Four of Virtua Racing, Ridge Racer, Daytona USA, and Sega Rally Championship. The Tokyo Road Race branding actually masks the game's true identity, Battle Gear 2, which is a must-play for fans of the genre. Better still, Taito must have known it would have fans in North America because they went the extra mile and included 60Hz NTSC video compatibility. The lone current generation game on this list, Chained Echoes was one of 2022's absolute best games, drawing justifiable comparison to the likes of Chrono Trigger and Octopath Traveler. However, it was also a digital exclusive in the North American market. Thankfully, Europe's First Press Games is on the case, with an imminent physical edition slated vaguely for the third quarter of 2023, which we're in right now as of this recording. Unfortunately, only Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC versions are being manufactured, so if you're playing on Xbox, digital is still your only option. Maybe a physical Xbox release is a possibility that will be explored in one region or another at a later time. In any case, if you haven't played this game yet and you love a good JRPG, you owe it to yourself to add this one to your library. The last item on today's list is one of my personal favorites. favorites, which should really come as no surprise to longtime viewers of the channel. My appreciation of the Wipeout series is well documented, and Wipeout 3 Special Edition is a love letter to one of the original PlayStation's defining franchises as the book was closing on it. Taking the already brilliant Wipeout 3 and doubling up on its content with a selection of tracks from the first two games, plus some extra prototype courses that had been Japanese exclusives up to that point. Clearly Psygnosis knew the demand for this game would be global, because just like with Shenmue 2 and Tokyo Road Race, a 60Hz NTSC mode was included to support displays from outside of Europe. If you've never played a Wipeout game and want to take the best first step into the series possible, this is as definitive a Wipeout release as you'll find on any platform. The point I'm trying to make with this video is that import gaming is often misconstrued as a corner of the industry where Japan is the sole benefactor and everyone else is the beneficiary. Europe is a damn fine source of import titles in its own right, and I wanted to take a moment to put some respect on it as a source region. You might have to pay closer attention to spot the best import opportunities when they pop up, but it pays off. If you like this video, then please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, as it all helps grow the channel. Click the notification bell to know right away when the next video is out. I'm Patrick, and I look forward to seeing you back here next time at Little Akiba Games.